All right, guys, what is up? I am SenVale, and today we're going to do a tier list for the defenders in Rainbow Six Siege for the new season, next glare with all the new changes. And yeah, we're going to rate the defenders in terms of how effective the defender is comparatively to the other ops and basically how well they play. So we're going to start off with the Alibi. We're going to start her at 8 tier. Why is Alibi 8 tier? 8 tier because she has an amazing gun. She has a shield. She has a secondary shotgun to make rotations. She's extremely good. The gadget itself as Alibi is kind of lackluster a little bit, but overall Alibi is a fairly decent operator to have. If you don't, like, let's say play a smoke player or like Fentanyl, let's say, which smoke is a yes. So if you don't have a smoke, which is obviously smoke is the most ideal, smoke is probably the best defender in the game that probably won't be banned. You can deny plants, you can slow down the enemy, you have a shield to play behind, you have a shotgun to make rotations. You have so many options in your arsenal to basically play well. You have a shotgun and the SPG-11. Amazing. Alibi also has a shield. So if you don't play a smoke and you play Alibi, most of the time you will be fine. But and to me, it's that plant denial aspect of it. Rooney. I like Rooney a lot. We're gonna play Rooney at beats here. Rooney is one of the operators in the game that is going to be able to deny like grenades and flashbangs, etc. that from door frames. Obviously, you will be able to burn her gates fairly easily, but you can reset it. And Rooney is one of the only defenders in the game that is going to have access to a DMR, and a DMR is fairly important because a DMR will allow you to basically just outgun the attackers. It's one of the only guns in the game that you'll be able to basically out DPS the attackers. So amazing gun. Kit's fairly decent. You'll have barb and a bulletproof cam, which sometimes you'll use a bulletproof cam, sometimes you'll use the barb. Good options. Great op. A zombie. A zombie is one of those ops, like, I almost want to place her S tier, but I want to place her A tier. Here's why. Here's why A tier instead of S tier. There's a lot of times where a zombie is going to be almost broken. A zombie is an extremely powerful op, but I feel like that she's not like all powerful in all situations like smoke is. A zombie's great, good gun, good kit. Your barriers are going to be extremely strong against in most situations. But there are some situations where you don't really necessarily need to have a zombie, and your kit is going to be a little weaker than other ops. But definitely A tier, because in those situations she's definitely like S plus. Like, let's say Clubhouse, you're holding rafters. If you're having a zombie, it is so hard to take that character, that player off those rafters. All right, next up, Bandit. So Bandit with a Bandit charges, you can still Bandit trick in this game. But I do think the Bandit is a tier down. We may slide him down further on as we go, but for now, Bandit is going to be a C tier. Bandit tricking is a very situational thing, and the gun in Bandit has amazing, obviously, and it's nitro, but Bandit himself is definitely a lackluster because of his opposition, which is going to be the Cade, and Cade is going to be a S tier op. Cade is an S tier op. He's the only defender of the game that is able to deny hatches. His gun is solid. He's a 1.5 and he's nitro. It has the whole shebang. I personally love Cade. Cade has literally everything that you need as a defender, and the reason why Bandit's so low is because Cade exists. It might be a little bit higher, but Bandit tricking was buffed recently because you were able to put multiple bandits on a wall, but still I don't think that it is that strong in higher elo because it is very easy to counter. Maybe a lower elo, maybe it is, but I just don't see it being that great. Castle, gonna be a B tier. Castle is very situational. Sometimes Castle will be like a D tier op, and sometimes he'll be an A tier op. But we're gonna place him at B tier because the times that he is used, he's very strong and very powerful. Being able to deny access to certain angles, like let's say at bank CEO, without a Castle, honestly, that is almost impossible to hold. Castle makes sites winnable. If played right with a team, Castle is a solid op to have to be able to hold down certain sites that would be basically undoable without him. with 4 panels that I mean, yeah, you can melee them down, but they take 9 melee. So like, honestly, you're not gonna be able to melee realistically, like, and be able to like sneak attack somebody. But yeah, B tier I think is solid for castle. Vera, this is gonna be one of the first ups, so I'm gonna place an F tier. Kavera overall is a dog shot. There are certain occasions where Kavera might be good if they're running a Jackal. If they're running a Jackal and they've been really reliant on the Jackal scans to clear out the map, then Kavera isn't a complete throw pick. In fact, actually, I will place her at D tier because Kavera sometimes can be used if they are using Jackal to clear the map, and if you recognize that, you could play the Cav and it could change the round. But Kavera's guns and her kit overall is very bad. Like, honestly, she's like in the fence between D and F, so she's very bad off. I'm gonna place her at D tier for now because a lot of times when I'm like playing like basic pro league with like professional players and semi-professionals, sometimes people will go Cav like a map, so let's say bank, when they're relying on the Jackal to scan like through, then the Kavera will be a little ratty and it'll get a 2k because they couldn't scan you. So we'll place a D tier because sometimes you will get some use out of that. Flash as well, D tier. I'm reserving F tier for operators that are completely without a cause. Like, you are better off not running this up. D tier, Clash, like Kavera, very situational. Sometimes it will work, but you are sacrificing one of your defender guns in terms of having a shield that will push them back and hold them back. So Jackal is banned so often. Yeah, if Jackal is banned, Kavera instantly goes to F, but I'm thinking in terms of ranked meets pro league, like higher end, Jackal's not gonna be banned nearly as much as, let's say, Thatcher and Fika. Fika's gonna be banned a lot. All right, next up, Doc. Doc is gonna be my first F tier operator. Why is Doc F tier, mind you? There's nothing about Doc that really makes him a pick. Like, you have to have a Doc. The only reason you're picking Doc is because you want an MP5 with a 1.5. And you can run that on any other operator that's on the list, but you are picking a selfish op that doesn't really need to be a thing. There is a much better op, Thunderbird, that is going to be an A tier operator. That it heals much better to your entire team, heals multiple times. Doc can't heal very well, is slow, has a 1.5, sure, but there are other operators that have a 1.5, so that's not a saving grace. And honestly, Doc doesn't really bring anything special to the table. I honestly think that personally, that if you ever have a Doc, that you're probably throwing someone, or you're just really confident in your gun skill. When that's fine. Like, if you can win your gunfights as Doc, then sure, whatever. But Doc overall as an operator is kind of bad. Echo is going to be a I'm gonna put this at B tier. I think Echo has a lot of potential in higher end play, or like droning out like an area. Actually, no, I gotta play some C tier. I'm thinking about it right now. I like Echo's gun, good, solid, but once Echo's cams are shot, I mean, Echo doesn't have much going on for him. Echo's solid, but I feel like there are other operators to pick over Echo, and Echo's gonna be more of one of those situational ops. Like, sometimes he'll be really good to pick, like drone out your roamers or like deny a plant. But there are other options like a nitro. Echo's not a bad op though, but I don't think that he crosses the C threshold. Hello, D tier. Actually, we'll go C tier. I've thought about D tier because her guns are honestly abysmal, but her gadget makes her D tier because they are probably the best procs gadgets in the game that you can throw on the fly, and it basically messes with your opponents. Playing around your Alibis is basically going to confirm you a kill. C tier because it's situationally good but has a shield in 1.5. Yeah, exactly how I feel about that. I'm gonna play C tier because her gadget is probably B tier range, but her gun is D tier range, so she ends up at C tier. Frost, B tier. They're gonna shotgun and make rotations. Traps to slow down the enemy and potentially down someone instantly outright. Decent gun, not an amazing gun, but decent gun, and a shield. So overall, fairly well-rounded operator. Definitely slept on quite a bit, but overall, fairly solid up. And we got Goyo. Goyo's, I don't put C tier. His fires are very situational to be really effective to almost not effective at all. His gun is solid, and he has nitro. Goyo overall as an op is solid, but he misses that architect ability that would make him, like, let's say a B or an A tier op. I just don't think that he brings it up to the table to be in the higher tiers. I like Goyo as a whole. I think playing Goyo is fun, but I don't think that Goyo is a higher tier op than C. His gun's good. His nitro. His fire is okay sometimes, but you know, other than that, not much going on. Next up, Jaeger. All right, S tier up. Another S tier up. Why S tier? One of the only operators in the game that is going to be able to deny grenades. Here, let's talk about these guys in tandem, Loki. So, this is one of my only operator in the game that is going to be able to fully deny grenades. That it comes back, so it forces a very small window when you start burning ADSs that you have to make a play within like the next 5-7 seconds to play around those ADSs. And if the defenders get crazy and the ADSs come back in time, then they basically wasted their utility. Decent gun, like not the best gun in the world. I personally love Jaeger's gun, but not the best gun in the world, but definitely a decent gun. And you know, barbed wire and bulletproof if you need it. It's not always need to have either a Jaeger or a Wamai. So let's talk Wamai. Wamai has a much better gun than Jaeger in my eyes. Has the 1.5 with the MP5's variation. It's great. Just you're gunning people. But then also, the gadget for Wamai I think is slightly worse than Jaeger, but because the gadgets will still go off, Jaeger's will deny it completely. So you can't stack Wamai's too close together. Jaeger's you can place all three all together and you'll be fine. So as long as you have a Jaeger or Wamai, most of the time you're going to be okay. So these two ops are great in tandem. Rooney, I kind of want to place a little bit higher because you pair one of these guys with a Rooney and you have a lot of denial. You would say Wamai is easy because you have to play it for your life while Jaeger's utility is guaranteed. True, but I would say Wamai's gun itself is overall better because that 1.5 scope variation than Jaeger's. So I think he still stays at S tier. I think either way, you're fine. Yes, you have to play for your life, but you'll probably be alive because you have a better gun. So, Capkin, B tier. Capkin, I definitely think is a B tier because low elo he works, high elo he works, and his gun's pretty good with the 1.5 scope, and he has nitro. There's nothing really bad with Capkin. When the enemy knows they have a Capkin, you have to worry about every single doorway that you go through to basically be able to make it through the entire map. Should be good up. You will get the occasional kill, or at least if you don't get a kill, maybe you'll get some damage. If you play around your Capkin traps, then they really slow them down. Wamai's AUG is slept on. I agree, Wamai's AUG is slept on, but it doesn't have a 1.5 scope. And the AUG is a good gun, but it's kind of a fat gun and it takes up a lot of your screen. I feel like most of the time, if you're gonna run the Wamai AUG, you might as well just run Jaeger. Like, why are you running Wamai AUG if you can just run Jaeger? Because I think overall Jaeger's ability is better than Wamai's. And if you're running Wamai, I'm assuming it's because you want that 1.5 scope, not because you want the AUG. Legion, D tier. Decent utility, but it's definitely a lot worse than some of the other utility that the defenders have, like Capkin. Good gun, but no 1.5 scope. Has impacts, and Legion is a solid operator. Definitely not a throw pick in any means, but I think that he definitely sifts towards the bottom because he doesn't have that much going on for him as an operator in terms of like architect setting up. Doesn't have a 1.5 scope, no nitro. Like he's missing a lot of parts. All right, Zerk, have a go, B. Capkin brings intimidation. Exactly. Like when you have a Capkin, it makes them have to worry about every door frame, and you really have to check left and right. Otherwise, you're taking a lot of damage and potentially having a death. Maestro, I'm gonna place him next to Echo. Maestro's cams are like Echo's cams, but they don't move. But Maestro, I think, has a better gun and better overall utility. Maestro can set up the sights fairly well. Actually, I'm gonna place Maestro at B tier. I think Maestro goes one step over the Echo. Maestro has the bailiffs to set up the sites. He has an LMG, which is pretty good, honestly. In a firefight, if you have the Maestro LMG, you're not like crying about it, right? And the cameras are fairly hard to deal with. I mean, they're pretty easy to drone out and they can't move. So attackers are able to clear them out fairly easily most of the time, but it forces them to actually have to clear them out. So, base Recruit better be S? No. Recruit is F tier. Brings nothing special. But yeah, this is Maestro. Next we have Lucy. Lucy, A tier. Why is Lucy A tier? Impacts or bulletproof, whichever one you want. Okay. MP5 solid overall gun, like, you know, whatever. But she has the best anti-rush gadget in the game. I think Banshees are slept on. Banshees are extremely good. Having a Lucy basically guarantees that you're not going to get rushed. If you have a barbed wire, you can still get rushed, but I think with Lucy, that the rush ability of the attackers is going to be almost a zero. Yeah. As he's on attack, yeah, but we're talking defend. These are defenders. I think Recruit is worthless. Recruit shouldn't even be on this list, low-key. Mira. Mira's gonna be S tier. There's a reason why she's always banned. Mira has a nitro and a decent gun like Goyo. I mean, the gun itself is solid. But the reason why Mira is so much higher than Goyo is because these mirrors physically force you to have to play around it. You have to destroy the mirrors. You have to work around the mirrors. No matter what's happening in the game, do you have a mirror still up and the mirrors are on? You either have to A, go around the mirrors, or B, figure out how you're going to deal with them. They cause so much panic to the attackers, and you have to basically play around where the mirrors are going to go down, that she needs to be S tier because she's just too strong otherwise. I thought about placing Mira at A tier, but it just did not seem right. She needs to be S tier. Mozzie. Mozzie's gonna be B tier. 1.5 scope, commando, both solid guns, nitro, a lot of intel denial, and if you get a camera, honestly, you can function like the Echo player and drone out other people. And you know, you have a lot of options in Mozzie. I think Mozzie is a little slept. I think people don't really sleep on Mozzie. People love Mozzie, but I think the ability to keep drones out of certain situations is really strong. So I think Mozzie is definitely a B tier operator. Hey, clone push the ball. Mute, A tier. Speaking of keeping intel out, Mute keeps out intel. Mute, all the drones can't come in, and I mean, Mute has a lot of architect ability. There's nothing about Mute that's like, well, if you run an MP5 or the shotgun, either way you're doing fairly solid, and you have the SU-11 combo with the nitro. Mute is an amazing operator to have. I don't think anyone will complain if you have a Mute on the board, but there's nothing about Mute that makes him like, when you compare Mute to Smoke, I think Smoke does win out, but I do like having the combo of Mute and Smoke, because I feel like if you have a Smoke and a Mute, you have everything covered. You have wall denial, you have intel denial, and you have plant denial. You have all of the denials with only 2 operators, so the other 3 players can play basically whatever the hell they want. If you have a Mute and a Smoke, you're kind of good. Like, you don't really need anything else besides maybe a Jaeger or my. All right, making sure we're good. Oryx, A tier. One of the only operators that can move up hatches, and he can really help with the opening of rotates and other kill holes. Kind of functions like Alibi. Doesn't have the same ability as Alibi. I think Oryx is slightly worse than Alibi, but that gun on Oryx is amazing. It is amazing. It is amazing. Oryx players are usually dropping kills. Same with Alibi players, but Oryx players are usually dropping kills. I feel like Oryx has to be A, because the way that his ability works, if it's a good player on Oryx, you are usually playing amazing. Rooney is A tier. I personally love Rooney, but I just don't think that she's A tier. I think actually no, you're right. There's a lot of wacky ops now. I placed a Rooney at beats here early on, but I do agree with you. I think that Rooney does outperform all these ops on this board. So yeah, I agree with you. He's going up to A's here. Oryx arguably is probably at the bottom of A's here. I feel like Rooney does bring more to the table than Oryx. That's actually I'm placing Oryx at beats here because I don't think that he brings enough to the board. The one big thing that Oryx has over the Alibi is that Alibi has a shield. Alibi has a shield, and that does matter because you need to set up the site some way. And normally the Alibi can be a replacement for a smoke player, let's say, but an Oryx can't be at all. Like that's no, just no. Pulse. We'll place Pulse at beats here. Normally he is easy to clear out, but a Pulse is very situational, but will force the attackers to have to clear him out completely. If you don't clear out the Pulse is getting freebies with nitros and basically just being a pain in your butt. Pulse is going to be, I can't see him being higher than this because he's not picked as off. It's very situational, but I do think Pulse is a very solid operator to have on the board. Definitely not throwing with the Pulse. Decent gun, like very okay gun, I should say. UMP is very slow. Nitro, solid, and you're one of the only operators in the game that can reliably hit your nitros. Speaking of reliably hitting your nitros, Valkyrie is going to be I'm going to place her at 8s here because she is able, you can counter the Valkyrie, but in ranks, I would put Valkyrie at S tier, but overall, I place Valkyrie at 8s here. Her gun is okay. Like, her gun's a pea shooter, but definitely rips off heads. Nitro, and you have 3 cameras you can place anywhere in the world, not just on the wall, not just on the ceiling. Place it anywhere in the world, and you can see everybody, so you can reliably hit your nitros, or just have reliable intel. I don't think she's higher than this in comp play, but definitely solid up. Definitely not throwing with that up. Rook. I don't know what else to say about Rook. Rook is like the same talk that I had with Doc, but I feel like Rook you're throwing even more. Doc, I kind of understand what you're going for, but Rook, I don't. Rook, I'm trying to impact trick. Well, then go Legion. Like, no. Rook is just like, why are you picking this operator? Even with the buff for the self revive, I just don't think that he brings it up to the table. If you can shoot, you pick Rook and you get drop kills. That doesn't mean that Rook is a good operator. That just means that you were good with this gun. Because I mean, the MP5 is the middle of the tier, like B or C tier gun, but just the way that he functions is just very, very, very low. Chanka. I want to place the Chanka higher. I'm thinking about it. But like with smoke on the board, a smoke ban instantly makes the Chanka like B or C tier, but most of the time smoke isn't going to be banned. The Chanka is just a worse smoke in every way. He can make rotates with his LMG. So I'm going to assume that you're running the LMG because without that, you're going to need another operator that is going to make rotates. So you're making the rotates. You have a shield. But your fire ability is a lot worse than Smoke's because you have to have the launcher out, and if someone rushes you with the launcher in your hands, honestly, you're basically just dead. And that I've seen that happen a lot. I've killed so many Tachanka players rushing them while they're shooting fires at the site or wherever they're at. Fires aren't large enough. I think the fire radius could be bigger. I just don't think that's overall that good of an operator. And better choices for the same problem. Let's say Goyo. Thorn. Ooh. What place is here? Proximity alarm. Gadget. Not great, but does force attackers to have to move. Once it's active, you force you to move or shoot it. It forces an action from the attacker that in that moment you can make a play and get the drop on them. And Thorn's kit, really good. Decent primary, decent secondary. Definitely probably going to win your gunfights. So Thorn, amazing operator, definitely solid. Nothing really bad to say about Thorn. sorry. I'm messaging someone that I'm gonna fight. Vigil. Vigil. I don't know if I want to place Vigil at C tier. Vigil, I'm gonna place a B tier. I think that what he brings is kind of like similar to the Oryx. Like, you have decent roam, you have intel denial. Like, if you can't really lock down the Vigil, then it does make the attacker's job hell. But once Vigil's dead, he doesn't really bring much to the table. Like, no shield, and you know. Vigil does have an overall pretty good kit, decent primary, decent secondary. So overall, amazing operator. But I just don't think that he is in the A or S tier. I just don't see anything extra that he brings over any other op that is going to be better. So, back to you could probably, honestly, I kind of want to place him at C tier. In fact, I will. I think that the ability of Legion and Thorn, like the procs push-ins, kind of functions the same way as Vigil's. You can't figure out where Vigil's at. This one gives you intel, so you both have a fair firefight. You both know where each other are at. This, both of you have no idea. So I just think that they're about equal. Vigil could be higher in comp, but I think overall as an operator, he's going to be a C tier op. Just because he's good situationally doesn't mean he's a good overall op in all situations. So Warden, he is still the best roamer. Yeah, Vigil is probably the best roamer, but I think that having Alibi as roamer is still fine. Because Alibi, you have a shield, you set up the site, and you can roam fairly well with a 1-5 or an Oryx or a Mozzie. Vigil is good as a roamer, but and just because he's the best roamer, I mean, let's say you get picked, you had nothing else. Like, you are literally a roamer. And if you die, then you have nothing else. And there are other operators that can roam almost as well as Vigil, but have a lot more going for them than just that ability. Because I'm thinking, like, you're playing against a coordinated stack, and a Vigil isn't going to be like, a lot of the time I've played against Vigil, like, I don't see Vigil being that effective personally. I just don't see it. Doc roaming is S tier, crazy, maybe in bronze elo. Warden, we're gonna place Warden at B tier. Actually, we're placing Warden at C tier purely because of attacker 6 pick. Warden is good if the right things are happening, but you have to really sneak in the Warden pick when they're playing a very certain way. When the attackers are playing a certain way with, like, let's say Sens or Yings or whatever, and you have a Warden, you're gonna be good. You're gonna be solid. Warden can completely counter and stop that. Decent gun with a 1-5 scope, nitro, everything you need to stop a push. And you can see through the smokes. So, but let's say they see their Warden and they swap around the picks, so basically Warden's ability is basically worthless. That's why Warden is C and not higher, because they can just literally play around. Oh, they're gonna have a Warden, swap. No. All right, that's it. All right, if you guys have any strong burning changes you want to make, this is the time to make them. I think this is overall pretty good. We have the plant denial, wall hatch denial, ADS and flashbang denial. I mean, Mira just can't walk in. Decent guns overall. This is kind of the list of how often I see ops picks based on how good they are. I think this is fairly solid situationally and just overall, like, on any random map. This is pretty solid. Do you have any challenges to any of these ops besides the recruit? Because obviously recruit beyond here is a troll. Like, just recruit I would place at the worst list part. But other than that, I think we did pretty good. If you guys have any changes that you personally make sure to leave it in the comments. Tell me why. Don't just say, hey, change a Vigil to S tier. Tell me why you think that. Like, be very descriptive, and I'll fire back with you and we'll have a conversation. Do that in the comments. If you guys like these tier lists and you want more, hey, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll do some more. You're just not a gunner. You clearly don't know who the fuck I am. But until next time, guys, peace out.